Well, thank you very much, Giles. Thanks for the opportunity to talk with you, and a special thanks to Warren Fomo, who invited me to come and join this conference today. I want to recognize Warren's work on this event and with the Minnesota Agricultural Water Resource Coalition. Since joining the Minnesota Department of Agriculture back in January, I've heard many people sing Warren's praises, and my experiences with him back that up. He is a strong advocate for Minnesota farmers. He's a great voice of reason to have at the table when we are discussing agriculture and water resources. I've been asked to come here today to talk a little bit about, provide some brief comments and perspective on the issue of water quality and agriculture. Today, we live in a challenging world. The decisions that policymakers at all levels of society make about our pathway in agriculture and food security, water and energy, transportation, and the like will have rippling impacts on billions of people across the globe far into the future. We face an unprecedented challenge. I believe that this issue is one of our generational moments that is too big for any one group or ideology to resolve on its own. It will require all of us to think outside the box, to call on our collective abilities, to build partnerships necessary to ensure a better future. I think it has become clear to all of us over the last few months that this issue will be a major policy agenda item for those of us who deal with agricultural policy in the years ahead. Last fall, the controversy over the Troubled Waters film demonstrated the dynamically different views the various stakeholder groups have on this issue. Over the winter, we saw a high-profile framework that rolled out a number of different proposals and played to some mixed reviews. This spring, we saw major news stories in the Star Tribune and the Pioneer Press and other major newspapers across the state documenting water quality issues facing Lake Pepin and other prized waterways around the state. And agricultural land use practices were featured prominently in each of these stories. Meanwhile, the agricultural community, including many of you here in this room, continues to try to inform our neighbors about the many positive actions farmers have taken and continue to take with regard to water quality. Actions that have reduced soil erosion, cut down on pesticide runoff, and make the most efficient use of our water resources to grow the food we all need. It is true that in any policy arena, the bad news travels faster than the good news, and problems get much more attention than progress. But we cannot let that discourage those of us in agriculture from engaging Minnesotans in important discussions about food production and the environment. Whether we participate in those discussions or not, they will go a long way towards shaping the future of how Minnesota farmers operate. Each generation of Minnesota farmers has faced its own set of challenges, from the Dust Bowl years to the 80s farm crisis. But today our farmers are being stretched to new limits and tested as never before. As all of you know, by 2050, the world's population is expected to top 9.1 billion, 34% higher than it is today. In order to feed this larger, more urban population, food production must double. As University of Minnesota's own Norman Borlaug put it, it took some 10,000 years to expand food production to the current level, and by 2025, we will have to nearly double this amount again. At the same time, we as farmers face growing challenges to quench our thirst for sustainable and renewable sources of energy. We face growing recognition right here in Minnesota that we need to do more to clean up our rivers and streams. We face growing demands and expectations that our food is safe. And last but not least, we face a challenging and volatile economic landscape that has blurred our focus and constrained our abilities. Our farmers are being asked to find a way to produce more food for more people while using fewer inputs and reducing their environmental footprint. They are asked to manage their lands to maximize water quality and wildlife habitat, while surviving a turbulent global economy with wild swings in commodity prices, crop inputs, and energy prices. As a farmer myself, I do not underestimate, rather, the amount of effort or resources that farmers have devoted to land stewardship practices over many, many years. We have improved the practices in the past. We're doing it now, and we'll do it again in the future. We do it because I believe we care about water quality, and because, frankly, it is the right thing to do. But I think we can be optimistic that we are up to the challenge if we work together and don't buy into this false dichotomy of increasing agricultural production or resource conservation. As we often say in agriculture, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. We have seen innovative and entrepreneurial spirit of our agricultural sector before. When we've had too much wheat, farmers banded together to create milling companies which developed Minneapolis into a world headquarters of the wheat trade. When corn prices plummeted to $1.80 a bushel in the 1990s, our farmers were facing tough economic times. Our agricultural industry collectively stepped up to develop the biofuels industry to provide a market for our corn and address our growing energy needs. Our entrepreneurship has developed into a multitude of branded products and value-added approaches to agriculture. Today, Minnesota has more Fortune 500 companies than nearly any state, and a large share of them are agriculturally based. It's in our cultural nature as Minnesotans to work together and confront our challenges. Now we must come together again, put together our best ideas, use some common sense, take a little leap of faith, and put in the hard work to get the job done. In my view, the challenge is to find a way to increase productivity, maximize profitability, and reduce our environmental footprint. And if we're going to get there, I see at least 4 things that need to happen. First, voices that have been critical of each other need to set aside the agriculture versus conservation or agriculture versus environment mindset and look for ways to foster cooperation, dialogue, and understanding. As Governors Perpich and Dayton have both said, none of us is as smart as all of us, so we need to work together. After all, we share some common goals here. We all want our lakes and streams to be clean. We all want a stable and accessible food supply. Second, state and federal policymakers must actively encourage, support, and be willing to provide some investment. Investment toward positive grassroots, farmer-led initiatives that are proven to provide measurable water quality results. At the Minnesota Department of Agriculture, we are working closely with promising farmer-led initiatives like Discovery Farms and the Root River Project, among others. Third, those of us in the policy development roles at the local, state, and federal levels must make sure that old policies designed to address past challenges do not get in the way of addressing new ones. Whether it means changes to local permitting rules, state regulations, or the U.S. Federal Farm Bill, we cannot afford to be stubborn or preserve programs or policies that no longer make sense in the current environment. Yet in this current environment of budget cutting, we cannot be penny wise and pound foolish. A stable agricultural sector and a healthy environment are both critical to achieving our common goals as a state. Smart, well-targeted investments by the public sector are still an important part of the puzzle. Fourth, those of us who grow food need to be flexible and willing to change certain farming practices when quality science shows that there is a better way or a path forward toward our shared goals of productivity, profitability, and conservation. It is in our best interest, farmers, scientists, and consumers alike, that farmers themselves are key participants at a shared table in determining how we grow more food while contributing to legitimate conservation goals. I believe farmers are the best stewards of our land and water. They are the best positioned to know how to improve productivity and conservation. We know the challenge better than anyone else, and we are in the best position to find solutions. As Dr. Borlaug said in a speech he gave in 2001, we cannot lose sight of the enormous job before us to feed future generations. Only with dynamic agricultural development will there be any hope to alleviate hunger, improve human health and productivity, and avoid political and social chaos. This is our time, my friends. It's a job that will be that of those of us here in this room and our colleagues across the state to make sure that Minnesota does its part in accomplishing this enormous job. I hope you have a good rest of the workshop, and I hope that this workshop sparks some new ideas on how to tackle these challenges and opportunities. I look forward to working with all of you in the days, years, and weeks ahead. Thank you.